Over the years I've picked up many games I've never finished. Some of those games are now considered classics and some are probably best forgotten. But for one reason or another they've left me with a lasting memory. So the idea is to go back to those old games and try to complete them. I'm hoping that with age and experience on my side, those games that seem so impossible to beat are now a walk in the park. Welcome to Living Rad. Spider-Man vs Kingpin for the Sega Megadrive or Genesis. This is a game that used to fill me with nostalgia. Well, at least the first level did. Until just last week I'd never beaten it, as I never owned the game as a kid or even a Megadrive. But a friend of mine did, and I managed to play it every now and then. It wasn't until I decided to try and play this game properly that it began to no longer fill me with nostalgia. The only feeling it fills me with now is rage. Controller snapping, swearing out loud, rage. The story is aided with a short comic in the manual and a cutscene with text between each level. But the basic idea is that the Kingpin has set a bomb and framed Spidey, and the goal is to defuse the bomb before your timer runs out. But to do so, you need to collect the keys for the bomb from some of Spider-Man's most famous enemies. The biggest problem with the game is the difficulty level is way up there, but it's not all bad. I think they've done a good job of capturing the style and artwork of the comic books and cartoons. And I like the camera aspect, taking photos of the enemies to make money for web, just like the real Peter Parker. The swinging on webs and sticking to walls aspect of the game also work well and reflect Spider-Man's abilities. But none of these facts make up for just how difficult the game is. It's punishing, it's merciless, and at times just not fun. One of the biggest problems is the hit detection of some of the enemies is way off, especially Kingpins. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's take a look at each of the levels, starting outside of the Daily Bugle, where you stop a robbery whilst trying to avoid being beaten to death by the police. Then onto the warehouse via the window, which was the only level I'd ever seen for 20 odd years. I think it's the best designed level in the game, and wish the rest was similar in style with its maze-like approach. In the warehouse you'll meet a variety of enemies, such as gun-toting goons, killer mice, attack dogs which can't be killed, and a maniac forklift driver who will earn you $50 for a photo, living or dead. And after you've made your way through all of that, it's Spider-Man vs Doc Ock, who I'd struggled with so badly in the past. Not sure why, as he's so easy to beat. And don't forget to snap a pic for the Daily Bugle whilst you're there. Then you're onto the sewers. This level feels very incomplete. After meeting some rats and a new enemy called the Mutant Jumper, and an alligator, it is just a massive, almost empty tunnel, bar a few bats. You just swing left. There is no power-ups, nothing to explore, and nothing to actually do, other than dodge a few bats, until you reach the lizard. Remember to get a photo, and don't go too far to the left, as Venom will jump out. The lizard's easy enough to beat. Just duck to stop him attacking, then stand up, fire, duck again. Rinse and repeat until he's dead. The electrical area can be the worst if you get caught out, with flying electrical creatures who are hard to hit and dodge, beams of electricity shooting down at you, and a few goons thrown in the mix too. I found the safest option was to just swing through the level as quickly as possible, grabbing the power-ups and taking a photo of the electrical flying thing along the way. If you manage to get through all of that, then you got to fight Electro. If you don't get the first hit in, he will destroy you. The best way to defeat him seems to be to sit at the top right hand corner of the area and keep spamming your web until he dies. And the same as every boss, don't forget to get a photo. So now we find Spidey in Central Park, famous of course for its wildlife. I've never been myself, but after playing this I don't think I ever will, because I'd hate to bump into that gorilla. This guy is pretty tough. He's hard to hit and he can do a lot of damage. I found firing at him as he lands from jumping was the only way to do any damage at all, and just to keep moving, dodging the snakes and the police up in the trees as you go. This level makes no sense to me. Was there a zoo breakout, or perhaps there was meant to be a jungle level that never happened? Snap a photo of King Kong once he's dead, and then move on to the sandpit to awaken Sandman. As soon as he jumps out, start swinging to the left. Venom will turn up somewhere along the way, dodge them both and make your way to the fire hydrant. And then just keep hitting the fire hydrant until it takes out the Sandman. Try and snap a pic of Venom on the way if you can as well. Now we're back where it all began, outside the Daily Bugle. Triple J will drain your time very quickly if it gets too close, but get a picture if you can. And try to collect the power-ups because you need full health and as much web as possible for the upcoming fights. But again, the best way through this level seems to be just swing through as quickly as you can, ignoring the enemies and dodging bullets, until you make it to the crazed biker, who's extremely hard to hit. But just keep firing and jumping over him until he's dead. Don't forget to take a picture again. As soon as the biker is done, the hobgoblin appears above, hence why you need as much health and web as possible, as there's no power-ups in between. The hobgoblin's bombs can be deadly, so just keep firing at him, don't give him any space and he'll soon be dead. Try and save as much health and web as possible, because as soon as he's done, you're straight on to Venom. Venom is easy enough if you have enough web left at this point. You need to get him to jump over you, then duck, and he will copy. As soon as he begins to go down, fire and repeat the process until he runs away. Now we have all the keys, it's on to the Kingpin's hideout, which is a nice return to the maze-like setup of level 1. This bit can be difficult as it's packed full of laser cannons, mechs and goons, but it has a few health and web power-ups throughout. The mechs can be difficult to kill as they have a specific hitbox and there's a couple of awkward jumps, but in all it's one of the better levels. And now for one of the hardest parts of the game. Hopefully you have lots of time left on the clock, because you're going to die here a lot, well at least I did. And each death costs you around 2 hours. Collect all the web and health you need, because we're about to face every boss in the game bar Sandman all at once. Well, as long as you don't run into the middle of the area, you can pick them all off one by one, but you don't have to kill them all. As you can see, I'd run out of web and almost out of health altogether by the time I was facing off with Venom, so I tried to defuse the bomb whilst dodging him. And by the skin of my teeth, I've made it. Time for a quick health and web refill, and then it's on to the final battle against Kingpin. Kingpin is pretty hard, his punches will send you flying across the room, and as mentioned previously, he's hard to hit. I found pressing jump and then quickly pressing kick the best method to actually hit him. You have to just kind of get the rhythm right, but even with a method, I still managed to miss him multiple times. And to top it all off, you've got to try and defeat the Kingpin before MJ gets lowered into her fiery grave. You can briefly pause her being lowered down by firing web at the top of the chain. And that's it. Spider-Man saved the day. Despite what I've said, I I don't hate the game, although it is flawed. After lots of practice I managed to complete it 3 times altogether and once on easy, but that doesn't really count. There's definitely better Spider-Man games out there, but I'm glad I've finally seen the ending after all these years and crossed it off the list. The question is, what game to try and beat next? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time on Living Rad.